welcome back to my channel, Mindful Living. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new gardening video, which is a do-it-yourself herb garden. I love using herbs in my kitchen in so many of my dishes. It adds tons of flavor to so many recipes, and the best part about a do-it-yourself herb garden is you can customize it to the herbs that you love to cook with. Today I'm going to be planting in my herb garden basil, dill, and chives, which are three of my favorite herbs to use. I also contemplated planting cilantro in my herb garden, which is another herb that I just absolutely love, but unfortunately it got way too hot here, way too fast, and that simply wouldn't grow well for my cilantro. So make sure that whatever you are choosing to put in your herb garden today, it's also what is suited for your climate, because that will depend on what you're able to grow. If you have a really hot and warm climate, it will differ opposed to a little bit of a cooler area. Okay, so let's get planting. I've chosen a really long and narrow container to plant my herbs in. This will give me lots of space to have multiple herbs side by side, and I started my herbs inside from seed this year. So go ahead and fill the container all the way to the top. As I've mentioned in my other videos, I like to moisten my soil from the bottom when I'm planting. And to get started, I'm going to be planting my basil. As you guys can see, I do have two plants in this Jiffy pod. So rather than put the whole Jiffy pod into the container here, I am going to be cutting it and separating it so I do have two different plants growing and lots of room for both of them to grow fully. Make sure to gently press each of the plants into the soil and pat around it. And next I'm going to be doing the chives. So here I do have about 8 different chives growing in this tiny Jiffy pod. So I will again be just breaking this open here really gently, and I'm going to be separating them so that they're able to grow more full. And there I've just gone ahead and separated each of them and just pat around them, press them into the soil. And next we're going to be doing the dill. So I have 2 different dill plants growing, so I'm just going to be actually placing the Jiffy pods into the container and breaking them down a little bit. Then you can just go ahead and pat the soil around it so that the Jiffy pod is completely covered. And that's it. There we have our basil, our chives, and our dill planted in the herb garden. I know it seems like there's a lot of space between the plants, but like I said before, you want to make sure to give each of your plants lots of room to grow. They are going to get pretty big, and if you place them too close together, they are going to be competing for root space. And for anyone wondering what the sticks are around my plant here, be sure to check out my natural ways to keep pests away from your garden video, as I have had a squirrel problem and have done a pretty good job keeping them out of my garden. The sticks really do help for me, and it stops them from being able to come in and dig up the roots. So this is about a week later, lots of growth happening on the chives. I have a new little dill popping up there because I did place a few seeds around. And here we have another week later. The basil is going well. There's the chives, and the dill is getting nice and bushy. Here we have another week later, and as you guys can see, the basil hasn't changed very much. I was having a really slow start to my basil, but once I fertilized it, it really did take off. As you guys can see here, the dill is doing really well. It's gotten a lot bushier. And this is about 2 weeks later. I did miss a week here filming, which I apologize. I got super busy, but as you guys can see, everything is growing really well, and my basil has pretty much taken over this one side of the container. Okay, and this is the most recent footage that I shot, and as you guys can see, there's not a lot of difference for the chives and dill. It's definitely getting thicker and bushier, and the chives are growing a lot taller. My basil is definitely growing really bushy as well. As you guys can see here, I'm showing you just a little bit of area that I have trimmed on the basil, and that's to keep it growing bushy and not growing up so tall and going to flower as fast. So just make sure to trim along the top here like I'm showing you, and that way you're going to get a much bushier plant. Again, the chives are doing really well. At this point, I can already start picking off of them and using them in meals. And I've gone ahead and done the same thing for my dill. I've just trimmed off the main stem here, and that's to stop it from growing so tall. And it's definitely getting a lot bushier now that I've done that near the bottom. And this is just a last minute addition that I've added in at the end, which is some green onions. And these are actually grown from scraps, so I just used the green onions I bought in the store and then went ahead and planted them after with their roots into my container here. There is actually a lot of vegetables you can do that with, so let me know if that's a video idea that interests you guys. Leave me a comment below and maybe I'll do that in one of my future videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this herb garden video today, and if you did, be sure to leave me a like, a comment below what you're growing in your garden, and subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks so much for watching, and see you all in my next video.